Hi everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea. Thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video. We're going to go make a relatively simple soap today using a fragrance oil called Saffron Rose. Let's go. Okay, so let's jump in as we always do. We've got our oil and our lye water, just pouring that in, being careful not to cause any splashback. There it goes. Let's give that a mix, and then I have a few colours to split this one up for. Okay, so we've got that brought together. We've got quite a few colours. I am first of all going to pour off a little bit of green for some piping at the end, and this is sage green. Now I always say I'm going to pour off a little bit and then always end up pouring off way too much. We'll see how that goes. Now what we've got here, we've got some Wellington mica for really gorgeous yellow. Next I have got in here some magic violet, and that is in there. And then finally I've made up my own little color in here. I have some cerise mica and some really red mica. Just going to pour that in there. So we're going to have a drop of those three colors, and then into my base I'm going to make this one white. So the fragrance we're doing today, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, is Saffron Rose. So I've kind of gone for some yellow roses on this soap because saffron, once it's actually in food and other items, tends to go yellow. So we've got some yellow color to represent the saffron, but the actual stems of saffron when you buy them are this beautiful red color, and they come from the crocus, which is generally purple. So that's why we've got this color selection. Let's get them all mixed in. So let's put our green to one side. We'll work with that later. I'm not going to put any fragrance in there as per normal. What we've got here is our fragrance, which, as I said, is Saffron and Rose, which I've had from off of iLux. And I'm hoping this is going to behave because it is a floral. But on saying that, it does have some florals which generally do behave fairly well. So it's got a green complex as its top note, so all those sort of greenery notes that you get from off the leaves. We've got some rose saffron flowers, which is basically your crocus, some ginger, and then at its base it's got some leather, amber, musk and patchouli, which really warms this up. And I've always been pretty lucky, outside of Dragon's Blood, I've always been pretty lucky with fragrances that do have a patchouli base, that they do go thin. There is something about Dragon's Blood which we do have issues with, but if you have been following along with me over on Instagram, I did a little post a while ago where I think I may have worked out how to combat, or how to at least beat, Dragon's Blood. So I will do a video on that and show how I got some pretty swirls in a Dragon's Blood soap. But let's finish getting all this fragrance mixed into these. This is behaving beautifully. Hopefully it doesn't set up while I'm not stirring it, because that's usually what happens. This one apparently has no vanillin in it, but it has just turned my white batter, as it's hit it, it has gone a yellowy colour. So I won't be too angry if this white goes a cream or a yellow colour, because it is to do with saffron, but we'll wait and see. It does say 0% vanillin, but it could have that ET in here. Because I love washing up so much, not. Let's actually do my drop pour a little bit different. I'm going to pour my purple in there. I'll finish scraping it in a minute. I'm going to try and get my yellow down that side. I couldn't be bothered to try and pour them together. Let's get these pots scraped. And then I'm going to pour that red in the middle, I think. Alright, let's grab this red. It's still nice. And we'll do a bit of a drop like that into those. And then we'll go and grab that mold. Okay, so here's the mold. Let's see if we can get that angled in. Just had to very quickly plug you in before we lost our battery. All right, so let's pour our white in here, like so. Gonna go about halfway up the mold, like I like to do it, and then we're gonna pour this one in. Ooh, it's looking nice. Try and get it up into the corners. Now I'm going to very gently just push this down a bit so we don't muddy the colour, but so we get it all out. Interestingly, the colours have thickened up, whereas my white has stayed nice and fluid. Let's pour the rest of that in. See if we get some curly whirlies going. Because I'm going to be decorating the top, I really don't need to save any of this. So we'll kind of scrape it out. Scrape out our other pots too so we don't waste any, and it also makes it easier just to wash the pots. Okay, so we got all the soap in. It is time to put our embeds on. I have piped some beautiful little yellow roses. I will leave a link to a video where I show how I do pipe my roses. And then the other thing I have done, I attempted to do, I decided to at long last have a go at some ruching piping tips, which I got in a D-stash box many years ago. Some of them are a little bit questionable. Some of them actually came up really good. These are meant to actually be crocuses, so I use the actual piping tip to make the crocus with, and then I've done the yellow center with the purple outside. As I said, some of them have come up really good. Others are just, yeah, probably a little bit questionable. We might not put those really questionable ones on here, but I am going to put these little crocuses on the top of the soap, and then I will finish putting the roses on. Hopefully I've got enough crocus or decent looking ones for one per soap. We'll see what happens. And then I have just put my green into a piping bag with a Wilton 67 tip, and then we'll pipe on some leaves. And again, I'm going to take my gloves off because they just get in the way when I am sticking embeds on my soap. So there it is, Saffron and Rose. I absolutely love how this has come up. Now when I do pipe my leaves, I do tend to go a little bit overboard, but I use that leaf piping to hide some of the imperfections, particularly on those little crocus, so you'd never actually know how ugly the bottom of those little flowers really were because they are covered with leaves. I did give it a quick sprinkle with a little bit of biodegradable glitter just to give a little bit of shine to it. I'm going to leave it sit here overnight, and then we'll be back very shortly and we'll cut it open and see what swirls we've got on the inside. here it is, Saffron Rose, and look, it has come out of my mold so beautifully. Must have just been the right consistency for it to pop out. I am so super pleased with it. We have got these paler yellow roses on there, and that was because I had them sitting there from another project, and I only had, there was 4 of them, and I just thought I'll stick them in there as well, just to give it a little bit of extra sort of packing in of flowers, and it got rid of them off my bench. You can probably hear all the ladies screaming outside this morning. It is about 7:30 and the gym that is there is full, and they're currently running around and around the building yelling and shouting, but I need to get this cut before I open the shop. Oh, some of those roses were nice and hard. Okay, so let's start at the end here, see what we've got. Oh, look at how those colours have come together. It's such a simple swirl in that, but it's how those colours have blended. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. There is only the 3 colours, but I'm still getting a real rainbow vibe. There is the tops. We've got a little yellow rose with our crocus on there. Let's grab the next 2 down here, and oh, these swirls are just getting better as we go along. Really love how that comes up. I've done it a few times now where I pour all of my colours into that jug, similar sort of way, one on each side, and then swirl the other in, and we get that beautiful sort of pattern in there. Let's go for one of these down here, and look, we got some curly wellies. Love those curly whirlies in there. And I do think, as someone has said to me, and I showed on the gin martini video, that we're thinking it's something to do with how I pour my soap up and down the mold. Like if my mold ran that way and I pour my soap up and down, rather than, so if you say this is the mold, this isn't going to make sense. I pour my soap so I run it that way with my bucket instead of kind of holding my bucket this way and down the side. I think pouring it that way is what helps to make those curly whirlies come up into the soap. I absolutely love this. The other side of the curly whirlies, and this one's got the crocus and the 2 different colored roses. Absolutely beautiful how it has come up. Love those colors. It almost reminds me of 2 dragons coming in to fight. So that is really pleased with how it's come up. It's just so gorgeous. So the fragrance in this one, it's changed. It's a lot sweeter than I was expecting. Saffron is actually, it's quite a strange herb. It does have that sort of sweetness to it, but I don't associate it as being fruity sweet, but this does have a slight fruity sweet smell to it. It's quite mild, but it is very nice as well. I think it will be a really nice feminine style of soap. Really pleased with how it's come up. I will post final pictures of this soap once it is cured over on Instagram if you want to follow along there, and it will show what color this has gone. In fact, even the photo at the beginning of this will be a picture of when it has finished its cure, so we can see if the white is going to stay white or if it's going to discolor. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how I made my Saffron Rose soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up, any comments down below, and until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.